All right, I'll say, how are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist? Are you all alive? Thank you very much. We will begin this interaction this evening of your time with, once again, the idea that everything is all one thing. We have said this to you many times before, that everything you do perceive as separate objects, separate people, separate beings, are all but a manifestation of one thing, manifesting in a multitude of ways, allowing itself, in a sense, to provide the idea of self-reflection. For you cannot truly reflect on who it is that you are from one perspective. You must make a separation, and in a sense, then allowing yourself to walk outside of yourself and look back in. Very many of your ideas that you have separated down to the idea of separate things are indeed but, again, manifestations of one thing. An example we will give you this evening of your time is what you have labeled within your society, cause and effect. You do perceive that cause is separate from effect. Two distinctly separate aspects or ideas. In fact, they are only separate in appearance, as one side of your, as you say, coin is separate in a sense from the other side of your coin. However, it is, in a very real, overall sense, still one coin. And therefore, the idea of cause and effect are but one thing. Therefore, it is not necessarily, as you might have imagined, and as you have created from time to time in your society, that the cause must come first. That, in and of itself, is just a definition. The idea is that being two sides of the same coin, either may occur first chronologically. One of the ideas we have observed within your society is the idea that in order to be, as you say, happy, you must have A, B, and C. Cannot be happy until we have that. Are not inherently happy. Oh, when we only achieve this idea or that idea, then we will be happy. What we will present to you this evening of your time is that that is only one way in which to view this idea. Another way is that you can first create the effect. If indeed you do create the effect of happiness in your life first, and this does mean realizing what if you were happy, using your imagination now, you would be like. How would you act? How would you carry yourself? How would you interact with others? And then, as you say, act that way. Shall we say, being two sides of the same coin, that now that you have created that effect in your life, you are now leaving yourself, shall we say, the opening for the cause of that effect. In other words, if you do choose within your choices, within your reality, to simply act and be happy now, then the causes of that happiness will accelerate into your life, as you say, very quickly. Therefore, as we have said again, many in your society strive to be able to work and struggle and do what it is that you feel will, as you have coined in your society, pay your dues in order to then have excitement in your life. What you may do is begin now, this very moment, from the choices that are available to you right now, to use what does excite you as the criteria for choosing in any given moment. Therefore, beginning now to do what excites you, and not waiting, as you have in your society, till you can, colloquially speaking, save up enough money to retire. That example, which we have also used from time to time, we observe does not in practice actually yield the results you always desire. For if you do spend 50 to 60 of the years of your lifespan struggling and striving, and then, as you say, earn the ability to retire and have fun and excitement, you haven't had much practice having fun and excitement. And very often what you then do create is a feeling of uselessness. Instead of enjoying the harvest you have been reaping for your entire life. So what we are now suggesting is to begin to have excitement now. Get in practice. You will find that what you have made the goal can be the road. What you have made the destination can be the path. And by doing what it is that does excite you in any given moment, not necessarily the thing that excites you the most in your life, but what again of the choices available to you in any given moment does excite you, then you are also attracting, by virtue of the fact that you are being mostly and truly yourself, your true core being, for that is why an idea does excite you, all the abundance that you do need. Another idea that we will touch upon at this time is the idea of abundance. For within your society, you have labeled that in order to be abundant, many of you have labeled, shall we say, that in order to be abundant, you must have a lot of money. This is one of the symbols you have chosen to create in your life. We are not invalidating it. It is a valid symbol and in fact may be a reflection of abundance. However, our definition of abundance is slightly different, for it does not place, as you say, the parameters around this idea that you have. Our definition of abundance is simply doing what you need to do when you need to do it. Period. Therefore, this, as you say, provides a appropriate segue to the idea we will discuss of allowance. If you will allow realizing that definition of abundance, what you need to do, when you need to do it, what you need to have, when you need to have it, your abundance to manifest in any way that it will, accepting your abundance in any way that it does come. Not that you will only accept it that way, only accept it as money, but to accept it in whatever form it does come in your life, realizing you are deserving of all the joy and ecstasy that you can imagine. Then you will find that you will vibrate as a being who does unconditionally accept abundance. When you say, I will accept all the abundance I can have as long as it comes in dollar bills, shall we say you are vibrating as a being who does not unconditionally accept abundance. Therefore, being that you can only have the reality you are the vibration of course, it is logical that the universe will not provide abundance to you unconditionally. Therefore, by again, acceptance of your abundance, not trying to force or make something occur in a particular way, but by accepting it as you have already created it, you do, in an action-oriented sense, change your vibration to that of one who does unconditionally accept abundance. Then the universe provides unconditional abundance to you, many times in ways you will not expect. Very often, almost always, within what you consider coincidence, not meaning something which is extraneous, but coincidence. Things, incidents, happening at the same time, all connected. For again, it is part of the fact that everything is all one thing. Therefore, in extrapolating this idea of allowance, of acceptance, if you will but allow yourself to glean from any situation that appears in your life a positive meaning, for realize you create your own reality 100%, even if you create the apparency that it is out of your control. That is still your creation. If you will realize that nothing within your reality is extraneous, is a deviation from a path, but part of the path that you are, then you can glean the reason you have created the situation in the first place. Very many times you create what you perceive to be negative situation because of the belief systems you have been spoon-fed from, shall we say, your childhood. But this is just a definition made by you, perpetuated by you. At any given time when you choose to accept what you have created and glean that you must have created it for a reason, and as well as the fact that you can glean many negative things from a given occurrence, there are always some positive aspects, something that situation will allow you to do that you could not have formerly done. Once you start to gear your thinking with this type of trust and allow these symbols in your life to deliver the messages you have created them for, then they do not seemingly, for nothing ever really does, but seemingly repeat themselves. We have heard very many times in your society the idea of repetitive negativity in your lives. From our perspective, being that we understand that the present is not a result of the past, that you do create the past from the present, that anything within your life that seems to be repetitive, each and every time it does occur, is the first time. And when you cease, realizing that everything is fundamentally neutral, you give it the label, that is the effect that you get out of it, the label you give it, for that determines your actions. When you do cease giving the same meaning to what you consider to be a repetitive symbol, and glean again the reason for the presentation in your reality to yourself, from yourself, of that symbol, then you allow it to transform. And this is how you can begin to take what you perceive to be negativity and allow it to deliver its message and be on its way. Very often you are giving yourself a message which, once you realize what the message is, you also realize there are many ways to have the same effect without creating that scenario. And then when you do cut yourself that slack from, shall we say, a more positive action, there is no need for that, quote, negative symbol to, quote, reappear. So again, acceptance of abundance as it comes, allowing others to be of service to you. If somebody does offer you something, accept it. Accept the abundance. Do not think you don't deserve it. Do not think you are pulling something over on the other person. Do not think you are taking advantage. That idea in and of itself implies lack of deservability. Simply realize that when you do accept a gift of any sort from another, that you are being of service to them by allowing them to be of service to you. Are you following along?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Therefore, the idea of acceptance, shall we say, is key. Before we do open up this interaction for sharing, for questions and answers and statements, we shall illustrate, using an analogy we have illustrated, the idea of the apparency of separation, the idea of the apparency of difference, when in fact everything is all one thing. And here is the analogy. You have, as you say, a propeller spinning at a certain rate. If you do have what you label strobe light, and you do synchronize that strobe light to the propeller so that it is blinking one time for each revolution of the propeller, recognize this idea. The choice of timing, of turning on your strobe, will determine the position that you do see the propeller in. It will also determine the only position that you see the propeller in. If you are able to have many individuals in a room viewing that same propeller, and were able to have non-interferive strobe lights, so that everybody could set the rate and timing of their own strobe without, shall we say, interfering with the others, then as each individual does vary his timing for turning on their strobe, they will each see the same propeller, the same one thing, in a different position from one another, each only believing, if they choose to create it that way, that theirs is the only position that the propeller is actually in. And the timing and rate of that strobe will determine the individual perception of that strobe. Therefore, we submit to you that your reality, your perception of your reality, is simply the timing and rate by which you do create your consciousness. Therefore, viewing the same one thing from many different aspects, and in a sense, enriching the experience, enriching the discovery. Each and every one creating his own entire reality, yet at the same time, the ability to share, as you say, some degree of commonality, far less than you might imagine. However, a seemingness of commonality. Therefore, again, as we did start this delineation, we submit to you that everything is made of one thing, of all that is, of the light of God, or all that is, as we do call it. And that light, if attached to an emotionality, that emotionality would be what you label in your society ecstasy. Therefore, you are all made of ecstasy. Therefore, in our appreciation for your willingness to share with us your version of that ecstasy, and allowing us to share with you our version, and in a very real sense, choosing to allow us to walk in the same dream as you, and recognize, if you, as a group, as a society, did not vibrate within the ideas that we speak to you of, we would not, in fact, be able to communicate with you. There would be no commonality. Therefore, in appreciation for your willingness to realize that you just may transform your life, you just may deserve all the joy and ecstasy that you do desire, we ask you now, how may I be of service to you? Shed